So in my last one, I did not exactly talk about what I wanted to talk about. So that's why I made another one, and that's why I'm making this one. So, yeah. Oh wait. God, I hate nose piercings sometimes. I don't get asked this question a lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure people mention it, but I don't really get asked, like, hey, why do you write a lot? Or what do you write about? Or, why are you so invested in writing? Normally I talk about writing in almost every video, and I don't ever get the question of why do you write, what do you write about, and all that good stuff. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it, because to make you guys understand more of why I write so much and why it's a passion of mine. Because a lot of people these days don't enjoy writing or reading, because, nerdy stuff. Like, that stereotypical bullshit. But if you are a fellow person who not only has dealt with so much in their life and gone through more than what you can handle, and you have no one to turn to, no one to talk to, you've been judged and beaten down by everybody you've ever loved, so the only way that you have to cope is by writing. Growing up, I've always, I guess, been a writer. I've kept diaries. I didn't fully start writing stories until I was 11, but when I was 9, I was doing diaries, because it was my only way to cope. Growing up being bullied by and tormented by my brothers, and a bunch of other trauma that happened, and most of it that I worked through. Seeing endless counselors back to back, and which really fucking explains why I have so many issues, because I've been through over 20 counselors. But when I first started writing, it was handwriting. I wrote on paper. The stories weren't as long as my stories are now, but they were about a good 2 pages, maybe 2 pages long, and about maybe just to 10 chapters at most, 10 to 12. And it was mainly where I put myself in situations that I kind of always thought I wanted to be in. Like Team Crafted, when they were a thing, I always wanted to be a part of the group, or wanted to meet them. And I think it was the same thing for like my first like Markiplier story. It was like teenage me or whatever at like VidCon, where I met him, and just stuff like that. I would put myself in situations I wish were real and wish I could do, but with how I grew up poor and with lots of issues, and now it's like I don't think I will ever get that chance to meet the people who I love due to my severe anxiety, and because I just don't have the money. Growing up, I never done like fancy vacations, or I hardly ever went out to dinner as a family all the time, because it's like parents divorced in like 2004, and I switched back and forth between parents, and of course, poor, didn't have money for expensive food, but like on special occasions, my dad would take us out for dinner, and there are some times where we did go out and do stuff, even if it was, go to the mall or go to Walmart or Target, because that's expensive to us poor people back then. But we never did like Disneyland or Disney World, mainly because fuck that. That place sucks. I'm good. No offense to people who like Disneyland or Disney World, I'm just saying, in my opinion, fuck that. But but with Mariah, I've been on a few trips. Like, I've been to Oaks Park, and I've been to, like, carnivals and, out and about, and wild waves and stuff like that. So with her, I do get to do stuff. Like, I'm still hoping this trip to California is still a thing, which fucking better be. But writing was... I'm getting off topic here. When you grew up like I did, and you have no way to express who you are, because not only did you feel like you were a bother to the world, that you had no voice to speak, writing was the only way I could cope. So I did do diaries, I did do poems, I still do poems, and I'm still trying to work on those, but most of them are depressing, but it's what I get out, is what I think of, and that's what's in my head, and I get it down on paper. I kind of try too hard with the rhyming, but it helps. And same goes for, writing my stories, is that it's not only a creative way to help me cope, because it's like I kind of dedicate all the girls I make up to myself, with similar issues, similar parent problems or sibling drama, or, just similar background stories, just kind of different, because I do make the girls at least a legal age to date the guys that I'm writing about, but it's a sense of relief and comfort to know that what you write is your own unique thing, and people have all sorts of writing experiences. So a lot of people write different things. That's because it's unique to them. I've been bullied of my writing before, and I've been ashamed of what I wrote about. But I learned the hard way that you have your own unique way of writing, and your unique way is just perfectly fine. You don't have to write like somebody else because their stories could be better. You don't have to write something else just because somebody says your writing sucks. Like, okay, if it sucks, then don't fucking read it. Like, through the excess bullying that I have been through half my life, I've learned to just not listen to the bullies. I've been told, oh, the story sucks, or your grammar is shit. Like, well, no shit, Sherlock. I started writing when I was fucking 11. You really think my grammar at 11 was tip-top perfect? I don't think anybody's grammar at 11 was tip-top perfect. Like, yeah, my grammar was awful. I sucked at explaining things, but guess what? Practice makes perfect. Here at 17, I write stories, not only up to 21 chapters, but to sequel stories, to almost each chapter having about 1,000 to 5,000 words per chapter. Tell me that is not a big upgrade from just handwriting a paragraph to 12 chapters, just starting 6 years ago. Like, if I wanted to do something new, like do horror books, or wanted to branch out my options of stories, I could do that. And I'm still getting into the habit of trying to do that because I have 2 horror stories lined up. But writing in my comfort zone gives me a sense of relief because it makes me happy. It's my passion to write. Because I have come up in those 6 years of constantly writing, constantly making new stories, whether it's about something stupid or whether it's just something I came up with. I wrote it down and I kept it. Sometimes I go back and be like, this shit sucks, and I deleted it. You know, whatever. But I will continue to write stories until the day I die. I will continue to write until my heart contents, until I feel that this is good enough to publish, because my future job is an author if I find nothing else I want to do. Because I truly believe that I can pass being an author if I branch out my options, which is what I'm still trying to do at this age. Because if I do that now, I feel like my creativity expansion will be more, so I now write the other way. So I have a easier connection to writing a different style instead of fan fiction. Because while fan fiction, romance books are a thing, I'm not into like actual romance books. I'm more into horror books because I own mostly horror books. But if I were to publish, I just have to change the names of the characters and anything that it has to do with like copying like a YouTube video, because that's why I get mainly kind of like my inspiration is I kind of like copy certain things off YouTube videos to make it kind of better. But to me, writing is a way to get everything out, and it's the only way I've ever known how to get everything out is on paper. You know, I grew up having to be a parent for my parents. I've had to grow up being other people's counselors and therapists and help them deal with all their problems, which I know that's not a good way, a good thing, which I know it's not. But I've always been the type of person where it's like, I don't care what happens to me, but if my family are hurt, if my friends were hurt, I would help them first before anything to myself. Because I am so compassionate to others that I would rather make everybody else feel better about themselves than deal with my personal issues. It's just kind of a way of how I grew up, because it's like, sure, I didn't grow up the best life. I mean, I don't know who grows up to have the best life, you know. But I like to think that you can become better than what you grew up to be. You can become something different than what you were chose to be or born to be. Because growing up, people have always expected me to be the perfect princess, you know, have good grades, you know, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't. One thing about being compassionate towards others is that you neglect everything about yourself, which is a lot of loneliness and a lot of depression. And having to be a parent to your parent, having to lie about how you were feeling just so you don't bother people, or whether it's not caring about your own feelings while helping others, it's sad. It really is. But that's how I grew up to be, and it's still how I am today. You know, because I didn't grow up to have people be there for me. My brothers were bullies. Growing up the only girl among 3 boys, I thought it would turn out different. Well, yes, it's true that it is different now. But way back when, it wasn't so wasn't like how it is now. They have hurt me a lot. And said so much shit behind my back. And I'm not like putting them on blast or anything, because in a way that's how siblings grow up to be, but I grew up believing that they were supposed to love and protect me, but growing up, I always thought that they didn't care. Growing up, I don't know what love they showed me. I don't remember what kind of fucking love they showed me, because I don't remember any of it. Because all I remember was the pain and all the names I have been called. Like, sure, I'm closer to them now than I ever was back then. But still, I grew up believing that they never loved me. You know, and my mom and dad split when I was very little, and I had to switch back and forth between parent. My dad was working constantly. My mom and ex-stepfather argued constantly. And whenever I tried to get my feelings out there, whenever I tried to ask for help, they didn't care. They didn't fucking care. And everybody wonders why I'm the way that I am. Because I grew up having to be something for someone else. And not being comforted by the people who I thought loved me. I not only had to deal with all my pain and trauma by myself for the longest time, and the only way to get that out was to write. So I wrote all these happy stories about YouTubers. I wrote all these happy and lovey-dovey fan fictions about YouTubers and superheroes. Because the only truly way that I have felt better was by watching those things. Watching superhero movies and watching the YouTubers, because they have made me feel way more better than my family ever could. And even still to this day, it's still the same way, you know? I mean, sure, me and my brothers changed drastically, and we are close now. I mean, I'm closer to Evan than I ever was. It's just me and Lucas in the house now, and Tanner has gotten better at trying to be there for me, and while my mother and father are still rough, I guess. I mean, I don't tell shit to my father, because God knows he can't handle his own feelings, and let alone last time I have tried, shit doesn't work. So, and I know I can always tell my mother everything, but she always goes through so much that I don't want to bother her with my problems while she deals with hers. You know, so some things change, some things don't. But writing to me is more than just writing, just more than a hobby. Writing to me is a passion, a dream, and an inspiration that I hope to have and to become an author in the future. To be something that people didn't think I would be. All I ever wanted was to make people proud of me. I've always had that expectation to, get all A's, But now I want to do something that I truly love. Because not only does it make me feel better, I also feel like it gives me a sense of hope for living. I know fan fictions are kind of cliche, but along with like romance movies or whatever, and that it's not life, but Could be. You never know. Life's full of fucking surprises. So that is the reason why I love writing so much. Because writing has given me more hope and inspiration and passion than anything else I have ever done. And for those, I want to say for those out there who love to write as well, but are like, oh, but I'm not good at writing, or people are gonna judge me for it. Fuck them, man. If you love to write, then go for it. If you don't like it, that's okay. Because if you keep doing what you love doing, you will get better at it. The more you do it, the more practice you get, the better you get, and the more love and passion you have for it. So, fuck what other people say, because they have no say in what you love to do. Only you know what you love to do, and if you love writing, then fucking write till your heart's content. And continue to write until you get fucking carpal tunnel. I'm surprised that I don't have carpal tunnel yet. Well, actually, I've been having some pain right here. I'm not sure what that is. But, yeah. But I love you guys. And do what you love to do. And nobody else's opinions matter on what you love to do.